Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the King Chamber of Commerce podcast series. And we have part two of the Michelle Frauley's interview, where we will be hearing more about the challenges she has overcome through the pandemic, along with her team, and also how she sees the future unfolding for the HosPall private home care. Many times I hear, particularly for small to mid-sized businesses, and particularly in the middle of COVID, but even right before COVID, you can never find people. Finding people is the hardest thing to do. Having people show up for the interviews is the hardest thing to do. What are some of the great stories you have of not running into that? And maybe after that, are there any examples of where, your experiences? Have you found it hard to recruit? Maybe we'll start with that one first. Have you found it hard to recruit and have people join your team? Or have you found there's been maybe not an abundance, but a constant stream of people being interested, want to live the vision dream, make a difference with HosPall?
Pre-COVID,
Yeah,
we have had a lot of our own team refer friends of friends, which is an amazing thing. So we created
yeah,
within our organization, if you wanted to, or you felt there was somebody that would be great for our team, that we have an incentive program. And so we've done very well with others of our team members suggesting one of their friends or a friend of a friend. And what's I'm really grateful for is that what we're doing is making a difference in our staff's lives, and
yeah,
that makes me feel great,
right,
because to me they're not just my workers or my
right,
staff,
right,
and I want them to always know that. And so it's about taking the time as the employer or the leader to always make sure that your team knows that they're important and they're valued. And that will carry on so many different levels. And that's just not words, that's actions,
right,
right?
right,
Actions, because words
yeah,
are really easy. And making sure that, especially during difficult times, like I have an open door policy. So my team sometimes, I'll have someone call me that's having a hard time at home and they know that they won't be judged. And I'll talk to them and, I'll get a heart later back. And that makes my heart feel full, you know.
right,
And with COVID, we talk about it's been more challenging to get people to work. People are afraid,
yeah,
and people want to make sure that as a business, that if they don't know your business and they
right,
haven't had a friend refer them, that is there COVID? At the beginning of COVID, nobody wanted to go anywhere where there was COVID, right?
right,
And we can't
right,
blame them. Everybody was scared because nobody knew what COVID was, and we're still struggling with that piece as a society,
exactly,
to be honest.
yeah,
But people wanted to, didn't want to go into long-term care. So all of a sudden, we had a kind of a flux of like people didn't want jobs, and then people that were in long-term care working wanted to come and work for private home care companies that would just go into private homes.
right,
And then we had CERB, and CERB helped a lot of people in this country, and I'm very grateful for that, that it was put in place by our government. But on the other hand, it hindered a lot of businesses too, because in many ways, let's just be real, Trish. If you're making a certain amount of money and you don't come
right,
to work, it all comes down to people are stressed, and maybe they had their partner that was working, and this gave them opportunity to be at home and get
yeah,
paid, because people are scared. But I'm very grateful. Our organization, I'd say we only had probably 3% that went
wow,
on CERB, and that says huge, huge,
that is
huge,
huge,
huge about my
yeah,
team.
it is,
And so when it comes to, we've never had difficulty getting workers. It's about always finding quality, right? And
right,
so usually when you have a referral, you know that if it's coming from one of your team members, that it's going to be, a good worker.
yeah,
But sometimes, people, they struggle. They just want to come to work, and they're not able to live the vision and the mission. And that's nothing against them. It's either in you or it's not.
Right.
And so, right now, definitely more difficult times in small business and businesses or large businesses. And we feel very grateful with our organization that we're nice and steady and keeping everybody safe.
And how is it looking right now for you as we're now into our next stage of COVID with the need side, looking at the horrendous stories that are going on in long-term care homes, as opposed to your home care, which is, it's not that huge, big residence where there's 80, 90, who knows how many people. But are you finding that by word of mouth, not probably, you're getting more requests to come into people's private homes to do some home care, people feeling safer? Like, how are you finding with your clients right now, their comfort level in looking to someone like yourself they can trust?
Our current clients have been with us for many years, and so we've gained trust, and trust isn't something that happens overnight. And so our current client base has been with us, like I said, for many years. And so, we put a plan in place. I made sure that we procured our PPE very fast back in February when I got word of all of this. And, we have had new business and very, very grateful for that. And so, like I said, there's a lot of companies that have not done well that are private home care companies doing this type of thing. And so I feel very grateful and very blessed that we are protecting our employees, we're protecting our clients, and no one has become ill. And I take, I take lead for that, but my team is the one that's made that be implemented. And so, since the beginning, I guess the middle of December, when we first, they did this first shutdown of small businesses and stuff, things kind of quieted down until now. And certainly, with the long-term care issue, which we know has been in place for years as a concern, is that people are afraid. But also, what comes into play is that, it costs money to have care at home. And people want to make sure that also in private care that you're not going house to house and house to house. And so that's one of the things that we go back to the very beginning, is when I created this vision and mission for HosPall, was that, COVID, no COVID, we try to keep it that our team only goes to one. Each caregiver has a maximum of 2 clients. And so as much as possible, we try to have it that the clients have the same face. Now there's families that have 24-hour care. And so we need to have, 4 or 5 staff covering those shifts. You can't have 1 or 2 people doing it. But with respect to, we're still getting calls, people looking for jobs, because people are still feeling, scared to work in long-term care. But also the way that the government is changing the infrastructure and putting people's pays up to go into long-term care. Some people that are really struggling for money, maybe their loved one doesn't have a job right now, they're starting to be more comfortable with COVID and are wanting to go to places that are able to pay more into government situations.
Right. That's going to hurt someone like yourself that's always paid reasonable, fair, equitable, and now all of a sudden. But it will be interesting to see if on the government side they can actually win again, it comes back to, can you win the trust to work in those environments?
Right.
And the experience of the last year, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking with the from your own angle, if it might help some people with their own businesses, small, medium, or large, around. Is there anything in particular that's through COVID? Because I always believe there was something I was hearing, and it's like in the Indigenous group they were talking to. There was one beautiful teacher, and she said, we need to look at COVID as a friend, not as a foe. And I sat there and I was thinking, wow, that's unbelievable about just twisting that mindset around, right? Which is right. So what do I see as the opportunities? What do I see the possibilities? What are the things you found COVID, if I can use the word, has helped you with deeper self-reflection on practices, habits for you as a leader, as the owner of the organization, and to make things even better and to bring even more value and to bring even greater difference for the better to your clients and patients?
I think the number one thing is that I realized last March, the beginning of COVID, that okay, you know what, we need to really make sure that our team feels supported,
Mhm.
right? Whether
Yeah,
that's PPE, whether that's safety, whether that's communication from their leader, and their management team. And how am I going to do that?
right.
Right? And so it was about getting creative because I can't go to all these homes. I can't go to see all of these staff working different hours. And so,
No.
how am I, Michelle Frauley, going to make a difference? And so, the first thing that I thought, you know what? I love inspirational quotes.
Mhm.
Look behind me on my wall, like I
Yeah,
have,
I know. I've been looking at it.
you know, and throughout our home, and you know, even with our friend group, you know, I sent a note by text to our friends every day, since COVID. Just, how are you? And it's going to be a great day today. And so I chose to, be positive. I chose to appreciate my life as I always have. But how am I going to lead that? How am I going to transfer that down to my team? And
Right.
so again, it was simply little messages of that I still do every single morning, of inspirational messages, and thanking them and meaning it,
Right.
and um, doing little things that
Mhm.
I put along the way. You know, like delivering little hand creams one week or little bath bombs, and you know, little contests about you know, a little positive contest, like who can remember, you know, what was the hottest day last summer or something, and someone
Right.
will win a prize. I'm just giving an example of,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also, you know, little Tim Hortons cards. And I guess for me too, how can I help the community more? That's something that always was my passion, is how can
Mhm.
I get involved in the community more to make a difference? Because, you know, I'm at home, I'm working for the most part, unless I need to go to the client level. And so I thought, okay, well, there's lots of organizations that are going on. I was also able to join the King Chamber Board, which was amazing. I was asked to join that, and it's been an amazing process. And it's really helped me to help, you know, other small business owners, you know, as a group, that we do, Trish, and you know, our weekly Zoom calls that we were having and networking,
Yep.
and also, um, how can I, as a human being, reflect on this and what can I do with this? Because if I change my thought process, or I try to make the most out of this, then that is more sincere when I've actually made those changes inside about COVID.
Right.
And so COVID has, you know, made us, I think, as a community and as the better good of all, is just to, you know, not take advantage of the small things that we do have in life,
Mhm.
and have more time for our family. You know, maybe reconnect with friends more on Zoom, and just realize that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling a lot worse than a lot of us really realize.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes just having, you know, you see on Facebook different groups, you know, King City Mom groups or Schaumburg group or whatever, is that if anything, it's made us all realize that as individuals and as, you know, citizens, that we are all in this together.
Mhm.
And so I say that, you know, COVID's not going away anytime soon.
No,
And
it's not.
and That's what I truly believe. And it's going to get harder. And so I've tried to prepare my team too since last March, that December to February is the hardest. And so, prepare, mentally prepare, right? And there's going to be people that you're going to come across that are going to not do what you believe is the right thing or what they're telling us that we're supposed to do, and try not to judge, right? Stay in your own lane and do what you believe is needed for your own family and for the better good of all and for our clients. And so, I've been doing that, and I always like to think about, okay, so the vaccine's here now, right? And okay, so this is going to be better days. And then I have to realize too that there's some people that don't agree with vaccine, and I have to be okay with that, and society has to be okay with that. But at the end of the day, we have to do what is best for ourselves and for our team here at HosPall and for our clients and their families.
Yeah.
It's just about getting creative, Trish. It's about, thinking of different ways to, I revamped our website, right, to make it more friendly. Yeah. Learned how to do Zoom. Like, I'm serious. Like, I laughed about that, when I accepted my award, but I didn't do Zoom before all of this. And I was more like, hands-on, going to talk to families. And so I also created MailChimp. Didn't even know what that was. So that's a way to reach out to a bunch of, people on a mail list and hopefully give them information. I created a blog on our website, and, little things too, just like little notes to the team. And I created a new platform for our business, for our scheduling and being able to communicate with our team. And so it allows me to do a mass text to everybody or a mass mail out to our team. And being creative and having a positive attitude.
How easy to that would it might have been for you to not take, if I want to call it the high road, and I don't mean the high road in any sort of exclusivity, but it's just, it's very easy for many of us to give up. How easy was it for you, with maybe naysayers around you, to not take the path, is a better word to use, the path to being that lighthouse for everybody, whether it was your team, whether it was your friends? Like, was there ever a time that you found once in a while that self-doubt crept in?
Yes, I'm going to be very real with you. I would be sitting here being dishonest if I told you there was not a few times along this journey that I was like, am I making a difference? Mm-hmm. Am I being the best leader that I can be? Mm-hmm. Do they really care what I say every morning? And I think that's just being real and raw, because, my personality is always to take the glass that's half full and it's full. Or I always say to our children, take the lemon and make the lemonade. Mm-hmm. Or can't does not exist in this home. Right. And so when the children were young, I used to put in the fridge, cannot is not a word in our home. I can't is not a word in our home. Yeah. And so that's just naturally who I am, is trying to take something positive always out of a negative situation. And people say, what, do you ever get mad? I say, yeah, if you hurt my family, you'll see a different Michelle. But generally, it's upbeat Michelle and always trying to be positive. But yeah, I'd be being really real. It's been hard. It's been hard for all of us during all of this. And it's only going to get a little bit harder for the next little bit. But it's important to always take the positive. I say to my team that try to be grateful for what we have in life, not the things that we do not have or the things that we cannot change.
Right. So with that piece, I'm just thinking that's probably a nice way to come to closure on listening to Michelle and her Michelle's leadership, which I just love. What might be, this is your wonderful moment as a last word of inspiration to other business leaders, doesn't matter whether it's small medium, large, sole proprietorship, whatever, that will help them put that smile on their face? What would be the one thing you would say, if you can just do one thing different, what would it be?
One thing different.
Yeah.
Always remember that you are nothing as a business without the people, the team that work for you and with you. And always remember that it's very important to make everyone feel that they are important and they are valued. And always remember, it's not always about the money. And always remember that it's a gift to be able to be a leader. And there's lots of leaders in the world. But just ask yourself, why do you want to be a leader? Right? Why do you want to be a leader? I know why I wanted to be a leader.
Right.
So I think it's just really important to make your employees, make your team feel valued. And, always make sure that they know that you're thankful for what they do. And that you're there to support them. And that's the biggest thing that I feel is just, I call them my HosPall family. We are.
Yeah, and I've noticed that you always, for any opportunity, very sincerely, genuinely, you always talk about and you appreciate and recognize your team.